We come to this feed for magic. We come to the Real Lovers Podcast to laugh, to cry, to converse. Because we need that. All of us. That indescribable feeling we get when the music begins to fade. And we go somewhere we've never been before. Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our hosts feel like the best of all of us, and discussions feel perfect and powerful. Because here, they are the Real Lovers Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Lovers Podcast. It's been a minute. I know. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, because in the year of our Lord 2025, I don't want to say it's difficult to make content or put out episodes on a podcast when the world is on fire, but let's just say I had other priorities to focus on during that 4-month stretch. But joining me as always, you're basically like a co-host here on the Real Lovers Podcast. It's Kale Smith from the Youth Critic. Kale, how's your 2025 going?
Well, to put it lightly, it's been one battle after another. But
In theaters now.
But to be honest, yeah, as of these episodes airing, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, I mean, it's been fine. It's just like I said, I mean, it really, I haven't, I think should we address why we've both been off the air?
We don't have to. If you want to address your reason, I think I might be pretty vague on why.
I mean, I don't even have a good reason. I'm just tired.
I think that's my reason too, to be as vague as possible, because it's just a lot of information coming at us, and honestly, I've really been enjoying watching movies without actually having to come on and tell people what I thought about the movies. I did miss the discussion, and like, granted, we DM like when we're not recording and tell each other like what we thought about movies, but I enjoyed not having to record it, edit it, and be like, here are my thoughts on blah 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 blah. So
No, yeah. Well, for me, I mean, I crave the, discussion, because I don't get like this kind of back and forth in my real life too much. So for me, like, I love talking about it. Movies, the problem has been also like there's just not that many movies. I don't want to say I don't want to say like there's been a lot of bad movies. That's not true. It's just there's a lot of movies where, like, I'm kind of in that period where I was in 2019, where there's just been a lot of movies where I feel like I could sum up my thesis, my thoughts on a lot of these in like 2 paragraphs on Letterboxd.
mm-hmm.
And also and also getting the consensus from a lot of people on a lot of movies. That's kind of like how we all feel about a lot of these movies in the past few weeks, or for Marley, the past few months. Maybe I shouldn't speak for you, but specifically, but that's kind of how I feel really lately. Like, and there's been a lot of really good movies as of late. I mean, and we'll talk about it on these 2 episodes. Should we even wait? We haven't even told people that this is a 2-parter.
Yeah. This will be a 2-part episode. So what we're going to be doing on the Real Lovers Podcast, if people remember this podcast, one of the segments that I like to do before we get into our main review, where we're covering all the movies in the Letterboxd Top 250. We're still doing that series, by the way. It's just I got 2 episodes in the pipeline ready to release on Mulholland Drive and 12 Angry Men, so be on the lookout for that. But we also do a little feature called Last 4 Watched. But since we haven't done an episode in about 4 months, I personally have seen 72 movies since we haven't done an episode. I don't know about you, Kale, but I'm naming this segment, or this welcome back episode, as the last 72 films watched. So throughout this entire episode and going into the two-parter onto Kale's podcast, the Youth Critic Podcast, we're just going to be basically recapping spring and pretty much all of summer leading into fall, as we're recording this on September 24th 2025. But yeah, how many, but I mentioned I've seen 72 films during that 4-month span. How many films did you see during that time, Kale?
We'll say close enough. I actually
Okay.
don't know the number. I haven't even, I probably should have counted today, but I can say at least there's been a lot. Like, there's been a good bit, and there's been a lot of where I just do like franchise stuff, especially with the Mission Impossible and Superman movies, as we did on the Youth Critic side of things. We did a Mission Impossible and Youth Critic, or not Youth Critic, Superman retrospective, which you were a part of. You did Mission Impossible 2 and Superman 3 graciously, and I say graciously because you volunteered and helped out to talk about, the ones that people like the least, or some of the
And
ones
I
that
ended up
what's that?
liking the most, to be honest.
Yeah, so it worked out it worked out brilliantly to have you on for those, and to be fair, we were on my show. We were supposed to do a Jaws podcast, earlier in the month, in commemoration of the Jaws re-release and the 50th anniversary, of course, but we just never got, at least I never got around to doing it. But I mean, I've seen Jaws this year. I saw the 50th anniversary in IMAX, and but yeah, I mean, and there's more episodes to come on the Youth Critic Podcast. We're gonna still keep powering through, as well as Marley will, for his show. But for now, this is gonna kind of serve as a, like, at least on my end, an apology slash, here's what I've been up to the past 4 months, even though technically my last episode was at the end of August. So, but yes. But for
Exactly.
Marley, go
But
ahead.
it doesn't have to. I'd like to correct you. It doesn't have to be an apology, because as a creator, you're a creator as well. I've always believed that creators don't owe an apology to their audience. This is because we're the one, especially, like, we're the ones putting out the content for our audience for free. And I'm actually grateful that during this 4-month like hiatus on the Real Livers podcast, like, the views still went up, like, on YouTube. And I'm like, people are going back and watching older episodes. There's over 100 episodes of the Real Livers podcast and more for the Youth Critic Podcast. So I'm grateful that people, when I'm on the hiatus, people are going back and listening to the old series that I used to do and what the podcast turned into. So I'm grateful for that. So at least during that 4-month break, our audiences had hundreds of episodes for them to listen to. And being creative is hard, especially in this ever-changing climate that we're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, what I said earlier about it being a one battle after another is a joke and a pun, but it really is, like, being a creator right now does kind of feel in its own way like you're fighting one battle. If you're not fighting the battle of creating your own, keeping your own show going, you're fighting all the other obstacles in your main life. So, or battles, I should say, to keep the pun going.
Exactly.
But yeah.
But yeah, and also, I know we did the summer movie wager. That we're still going to do the results episode, but I'm finding it very
Yes.
difficult to get everyone together for that. I don't want to reveal the winner yet, even though I am very happy right now about the results, but we'll keep everyone in suspense on that one.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm actually very happy and quite surprised how predictable this summer was.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, but let's start off with our last 72 watched films.
Yes,
Even
absolutely.
though I don't know you've seen that many films, but the first film that I saw in May, it would be May 5th, it was actually Thunderbolts. And was I on your podcast talking about that? I forget.
Yes, you were. You were on Thunderbolts, and we had a good discussion. Like we both were. I think you liked it more than I did,
Mhm.
but I think we were both very in the center about it, or in the middle about it, if I remember correctly.
I generally like Thunderbolts. I thought it was kind of like, I wouldn't say it was Marvel returning to form, but it was, I don't know. It felt, I haven't rewatched it since I saw it in theaters and doing the podcast. And I do kind of really want to revisit it just because I do remember it being a little bit hollow when talking about like the themes of depression. And it just felt very watered down to me. Like it's very like corporatized, like, oh, this is what being depressed is like, but also kind of not trying to use your pun, one battle after another, kind of like going back at each other, going back and forth. But I rated it 2.5 stars. I'm looking at the rating right here on Letterboxd, and I feel like if I were to rewatch it, it would probably be like a 3-star movie. But not the best Marvel movie, but definitely not the worst for sure.
So I don't even have it on my film diary. I must not have logged it in. But I mean, that's honestly, I think I would go 2.5 stars too, because the thing about Thunderbolts is I do admire that they did make a movie about kind of sort of like about our generation, like trying to figure out what our path is. And that's kind of like what I think a lot of people kind of chimed on to or cling to with Thunderbolts is, and this is just me, I haven't rewatched the movie since, but this is just kind of me, like almost 5 months removed from it. I think what people loved about Thunderbolts is that it's a story about people trying to find their next path forward after, in a, in a world where they've kind of been shunned out, in a world where they're kind of like, they're not like the most important. At the very least, they're very much like the middleman of
Mhm.
the superheroes currently working. And I feel like that's kind of like very important. And I feel like that's kind of like what is, and I think that's a great idea. I just don't think it really worked fully, in a holistic way. Cause at the end of the day, I still don't buy this group of people as a team. And I don't know how on earth Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to address that or like
Well, I
explore
don't
that
think
further.
filmmakers. I don't think the filmmakers know how they're going to address it because they have no script. But apparently, the movie's finished, so
I
I
think
have
they
no
just ran
idea.
out of budget.
Yeah.
They rented the space from April to September and they were like, look, and they're getting kicked out.
Then they're like, Chat GPT, write the rest. No, I don't think that's how
we'll
they
we'll
did it. But
we'll write it and figure it out we'll shoot it in Los Angeles or Atlanta next week.
yeah, well, they're not shooting in Atlanta anymore, right? Disney.
No, well, I kind of make the joke because they could still do like reshoots and whatnot in Los Angeles or Atlanta.
Hmm.
But you're right, like most productions, not to do a side tangent, Thunderbolt seems to be like the Marvel's last movie that's shot here in Georgia. And it is kind of sad because the Avengers does bring they did like Marvel did bring a lot too, but and it is very sad, and it is very much like, and it is kind of like a pie in the face because these movies are going to cost like $500 million each, and they couldn't
Hmm.
afford to film in Atlanta where we still have all of our tax breaks and whatnot. We still have all of our non-union work issues, and we still like nothing has changed on our board as far as I know. The problem is, it's just that everything in America has gone up so much that it's just now cheaper to go film in Europe or South Africa or some country that no one's ever heard of.
It's funny you say that. Not trying to get political here, 14 minutes into this podcast, but isn't that what one person said? He said America first, and let's make stuff here in America. But everything just became too expensive for these companies that they just decided to just go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's about as political as I'll get. So if you want to touch on something real quick, but
Well, I mean, this whole thing. Well, here's the thing: is it all started before, and this will be my wrap up. It all started
mhm,
before we changed hands. Like Fantastic Four shot in London.
mhm.
So but I just think it's kind of crazy. Well, one, that the new Spider-Man movie is still a New York set adventure, but they're filming in Glasgow,
Mhm.
in Glasgow, United Kingdom. I think that to me is kind of like insane. Good. I mean, that's great that they're gonna somehow make. I'm sure they're gonna do a lot of CGI extensions and make all these effects teams like work so hard to make England look like New York. But there's just a part of me that's just like, well, wouldn't it just be better if you just shot it in New York? Like, wouldn't it just you have to do so much work? If like just go film in New York. Like, just make whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Well, they're shooting
sorry.
movies here in Sacramento. One battle after another in theaters now, and then Sacramento.
Go see it.
Yeah, they actually shot a lot of one battle after another here. I remember they closed off streets for like for months, weeks, and a lot of people were mad. But I don't think they're going to be mad when it's the best movie of the year. I haven't seen it yet, but that's what I'm hearing. So, but yeah, I
Well,
saw
in the
Thunderbolts on
yeah.
May. Hmm? No, go
No, I
ahead.
was just
Sorry.
saying, like, I agree. No. I just agree, like, with you. Like, I think it'll be the suffering will be worth the mild. I shouldn't call it suffering. The mild irritation will be worth it.
The first world problems that we all. It's like,
That
oh,
that
Leo's
you
filming a
experience will be
scene and
worth
I
it.
can't get my freaking In-N-Out burger because
Oh
traffic is backed up
no.
on the
Okay.
five.
All right. Let's move on from. Let's move on. Sorry.
Yeah, let's move on. I saw Thunderbolts on May 5th. What did you see anything around this time, Kale?
So I saw around this time. This is when I started the Mission Impossible rewatches.
Mhm.
And recording the episodes as well. So I saw like Mission Impossible on May 3rd, May 4th, Mission Impossible 2, then also Mission Impossible 3. And it just kind of like I started on like, I guess what happened was I started on May 3rd, like right after I found out I had cellulitis and was going to be out for over a week.
Mhm.
So I decided, well, in the meantime, while my, leg eats itself alive, I'll watch Tom Cruise like doing impossible, dangerous stuff.
Doing impossible missions.
Yep, and weirdly enough, like I said, I guess I didn't log Thunderbolts, but I mean, but I saw Thunderbolts like in the middle of all this,
Mhm.
and I did eventually get to see Lilo and Stitch on May 23rd.
Oh, interesting. What'd you think? Because that's something that
Um,
I saw recently. I saw it on Disney Plus and I didn't finish it.
no, I finished it, and well, because I saw this in a theater.
Mhm.
Um, so I gave it 2.5 stars, and I might have been generous on that one and I think the reason I gave it a little kind of in the middle was because Stitch really does look cute, and Stitch really does win so much of you over. But the problem with Lilo and Stitch I have is it's the problem that I have with I'm not so Marley, I promise when I say this, I'm not offended by movies taking chances, and I'm not
Mhm.
offended by, like I'm not like if you need to change something for your movie, or you feel like, something would work better for your vision, I'm not against it.
Mhm.
My problem with Lilo and Stitch is, and I don't think we did this. I don't think anyone did this on the pod. I don't think we did a Lilo and Stitch podcast, so this is actually perfect for time for me to vent. My problem with Lilo and Stitch is when you change so much of the story to be about, this temptation for not. Is it Nani, Lilo's sister? Is it or is
Yeah,
it
Nani.
Nani or Nina? A Nani.
Nani. Mm.
when you change so much of that to make it like better for Nani to like let go of her family, let go of her sister, to go, you know, to go to like San Diego to like marine biology school. When you do all that, and then at the end of the movie, Lilo's like, "Look, I get it. I'm just an orphan. I'm just." When you basically admit that, she has no family other than Stitch and her neighbors. Like, she's just now going to have to be raised by her neighbors. Like, it just very much feels like mm, it defeats the purpose of the, like, it defeats the message of the movie, the theme, the dramatic stakes of the movie. Because what's so great about the first Lilo and Stitch is Lilo and Stitch is about, you know, it's about an American. Yes, it's about an American agent, coming in to this, family that's struggling. They don't have their parents with
Mhm.
Nani, and by family I mean Nani and Lilo. They don't have anybody. They literally have no one. Nani kind of has this like this man kind of pursuing her, but she's not kind of letting that, but she's not like letting that person be the father figure for Lilo in any way. Like, it's very much like them two against the world. And
Mhm.
when they had, and of course when they bring Stitch into that, it causes, all this chaos. It kinds of, and it's up to Stitch to learn the value of family, and it creates this, it gets you invested into the emotional stakes. And I feel like Lilo and Stitch, the remake, kind of abandons all that in order to try and be like, more reasonable to Nani, that, Nani should just go. Like, it's like watching Coda again, but shittier. Like, yeah, you should abandon your family to and it's like, yeah, but it's much more complicated. Like, here, sure, like, you have dreams and wants and desires, Nani, but her situation's way more complicated. And like, I don't know, I would feel awful if I left my child's sister in a different part of the country, to be raised by my neighbors while I went to marine biology school.
You know what, Kale? I totally agree with you, but Ohana means family, and and family
Yeah.
means no one gets left behind, except
But
when I want to go to marine biology school.
yeah.
Lilo, go fend for yourself.
Yeah, Lilo, just stay in this dilapidated house with your neighbors coming in and checking on you, and the person that may or may not be my, boyfriend will also come and be here. So yeah, I don't know. And then I really was like, what traumatized. Do you know the ending of Lilo and Stitch,
Yeah,
the
I
remake,
know the ending. The original.
where they almost killed? No, I mean the remake. Do you know what
I never
happened?
finished it. I
Oh,
got
they kill
about.
Stitch.
Wait, what?
Well, they didn't.
By the way,
So,
there's going to be spoilers throughout this entire episode. I forgot to mention that. Maybe I'll put
oh,
that in the beginning.
spoilers for a movie that you can watch on Disney Plus and other streaming platforms.
Well, you probably shouldn't be watching on Disney Plus because we're boycotting. But
Oh,
anyways,
yes,
yeah.
yes, of course. Sorry, my bad. Like I said, there's other streaming platforms.
Wink,
Quote
wink.
unquote, wink, 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 wink. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, Stitch. Well, so in the movie, it's established that Stitch can't swim because his body will just sink. Like, his body just literally just becomes like a boulder, or it just becomes the weight of a boulder. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a moment where, like, where Zach Galifianakis, this mad scientist, like, kidnaps both Lilo and Stitch, and then they crash the ship in the ocean. And so Stitch has to save Lilo because she's like trapped under like flight debris underwater. But
Hmm.
in doing so, he can't float to the surface, and she can't pull him because he's too heavy, because he's collected too much water weight. So you just see like Lilo, flailing up to the surface while Stitch just resoundingly just accepts his fate of death.
It's like a Bing Bong from Inside Out.
Yeah, basically. And then it's up to Nani, who has like who all of a sudden has like American Ninja Gladiator Warrior like skills to pull like Stitch underwater, like walk underwater and pulling him like Crypto does with Superman in the Superman movie, and then pulls him out of the water. And then they like try to, defibrillate Stitch with like an old car battery.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, like watching this whole thing, like I'm not easily traumatized by like kid movies anymore, but this was excessive. Like Jesus Christ, like fuck, like he's
I
fucking
feel like you're
dead.
talking about another movie, even though I didn't finish the Lilo and
It,
Stitch remake, because I'll tell you, I'll probably finish it eventually, but
well, what was the point where you cut off?
I cut off at the point where I feel like it turned the whole movie off for me. It's when it's in the original movie where Lilo gets in a fight with the white girl that like makes fun of her, like hula dancing or whatever. The original,
Right,
that is actually really impactful because it shows kind of like Lilo's character, that she's willing to stand up for herself and her family. Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. You got to stand up for the people that believe in you and love you. The remake makes it feel like Lilo is just a brat in that situation. She's just picking on picking on like that one that wasn't even sure if she was white or not. Maybe she was mixed or something like that. But it turns Lilo into, like I said, like a brat of a character, and I didn't like I adore the actress that played Lilo. She's completely adorable, and I'm not putting this on her, but it's just the way her scenes were written, and everything after that I kind of had like a bad taste in my mouth based on how that scene actually played out. But it kind of I hate to be a broken record whenever we're talking about like these live action remakes. It just felt so soulless. There's nothing to this movie. And it was very disappointing to me because you have the backdrop that is Hawaii. You have like
I know,
all
you
this
have
culture
literally
at
one
your
of the most
fingertips.
beautiful places. Yeah,
You
exactly.
have all this culture at your fingertips, and you just kind of like, we're just gonna do the bare minimum. And I'm just
I
like,
mean,
what the
Hawaii
hell?
5-0 looks better than this. than
Exactly. But I'll finish it eventually, just because I'll feel like I'll have to, but I don't plan on watching it anytime soon.
I don't blame you. I will say, as a final thing on Lilo and Stitch, Billy Magnuson, I think that's
Hmm.
his name, is really good in this movie. Like, he really is like like, he is so good as the himbo. Like, he is way too good as like the handsome himbo, like, just, and good as like, I don't even remember what his alien name is, or like his character's name is,
Hmm.
but like he's just really funny. And I will say, like, that was a bright spot, like, in the movie, is just to see like this, like, Billy Magnuson, like, just be so happy about being human and being in like a flesh uniform, I guess a flesh uniform, and
Hmm.
enjoying a lot. Like, I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun personally, but
I don't
other
remember. I don't remember that, but I probably didn't even get to it.
You probably didn't. It's like later in the movie. But yeah, I genuinely liked
Uh-oh.
it. I genuinely like that stuff. But other than that, like, Hannah Waddingham is like the space, like, good voice, but also like she's getting a little. I'm afraid that she's getting a little exposed and kind of getting typecast.
But yeah, Lilo and Stitch,
Yeah,
not that great. I also saw a lot of franchise movies in May, so we can kind of breeze over it because, like you said, I was on your podcast talking about Mission Impossible films leading up to Final Reckoning. So I saw Mission Impossible 2 and Mission Impossible 3 and Ghost Protocol in May, and
good
basically all
man.
the Mission Impossibles during that time. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, go listen to those podcasts. And still love the franchise. It's kind of a little bit overstated its welcome a little bit, like another franchise that's 10 movies in. We won't go there during this podcast. But
Marley, how dare you bring up the Land Before Time franchise?
yeah, exactly. But a movie I saw for the first time in May also features Tom Cruise. It was about to kick off another universe for Universal, the Dark Universe.
You
I saw
saw
The
the
Mummy.
Mummy. Oh, God.
I gave it half a star. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Pass.
Yes,
I don't. I've seen the
pass.
movie. I've seen the movie, but I also like that movie. Okay, the one thing I will say about The Mummy, directed by Alex Kurtzman, is that it's so sad how much they were trying to push that kind of thing, and they started with like the weakest one, like the weakest. Because if you look back at what the Dark Universe was supposed to be, like there was supposed to be a Bride of Frankenstein directed by Bill Condon, starring Angelina Jolie and Javier Bardem. There was supposed to be a Wolfman movie. There was supposed to be, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, this was not a great idea, but I mean, Johnny Depp is, Invisible Man, like there was so many things that could have been its own thing on its own, but because we were so trying to build a cinematic universe out of everything, everything kind of just got it just became chaos. So, with that said, I don't. It's there's no cultural legacy with the Dark Universe. There's no, unfortunately. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Tom Cruise was even involved. To be honest, with him being so
Yeah,
I'm just
like
so
I
sad.
said in my Letterboxd review, I was like, I know I said I like horny movies, but this is not what I meant.
You mean to tell me you don't like a movie where the protagonist just rapes the villain to death?
Exactly. Spoilers for The Mummy, but no one should watch the movie anyway. So,
Also, trigger warning.
yeah,
My bad, everyone.
exactly. I think people already knew the trigger warning by when they hit play on this podcast.
Damn it. Okay, good.
But
Good
yeah,
burn.
The Mummy is not good. Mission Impossible is better. And then I also, just to get the franchises out of the way, I also did a rewatch, or I did a marathon of all the Final Destination movies leading up to Final Destination Bloodlines. I watched them all for the first time.
Okay.
Very interesting franchise, for sure. I'm not sure. I think my favorite one so far would be Final Destination 2. And not including Bloodlines, because I think Bloodlines is the best in the franchise. But I'm not really into kind of like all that gore and stuff. But I think Final Destination plays it off in a very interesting way, and I had a fun time watching it. There's not really much to talk about with Final Destination, just because it's all about death. And in the year of our Lord 2025, I already feel like death. So I'm just, but yeah.
The only note I have to the Final Destination movies is so I've only watched half of one and all of
Mm-hmm.
two, and then of course Bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like Bloodlines, and I actually like Final Destination 2 and Bloodlines, and I feel like Bloodlines kind of meets in the middle of those first two movies of like we're gonna tell a horror story, but we're gonna have fun. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have like a great deal of fun, like watching these like very himbo or idiot, privileged white people get brutally murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're gonna have a lot of fun, we're gonna have a big fun set piece at the beginning of the movie. Like I don't know. I feel like, I feel like Bloodlines kind of meets that perfect middle of like it's fun, but there's still a horror tinge to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's stakes to it. Um so personally I genuinely like Bloodlines a lot. I will watch more of the Final Destination movies. The problem is I know they get a lot worse after 3. So, which is shocking because the fourth one is directed by the guy who did the second one, and the second one is my favorite so far. So,
Yeah, the Final Destination is definitely the worst one. That's the one that they shot in 3D, and it's a bunch of like 3D effects that just don't play very well at home. We're just like, oh, look at the blood and guts coming at the screen, and
and
I'm
it's all
like,
CGI.
yeah, it's real bad. I think my least favorite Final Destination movie is Final Destination 5, but amongst
Okay.
like all my mutuals, everyone loves that movie for some reason. Just because, have you seen Final Destination 5, or
I
you
mean,
said you
no,
only saw
but
2
no,
and
but I know how it ends. Like I know, like I've actually seen the plot. I've seen the ending on YouTube. Like I wasn't even searching it. Like it just popped up on like my feed of like videos I would just watch, short
Mhm,
videos. And I just watched and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a clever way to kind of bring everything full circle," you
mhm.
know. I can't wait to see how that all fits in. So, given that a movie that was shot in 2010 is now like going back and trying to be a movie and trying to fit into full circle to a movie that was shot in like in the late 90s or something. So, but
Being a period piece. Yeah.
a stealthy period piece. So,
Yeah, and I haven't rewatched it since then because I felt cheated out a little bit, just because I was like, oh really, you're going back to the original movie or something like that. From what I hear from like my mutuals, they're like that rewatched it like multiple times, you can kind of pick up on like the 90s like aesthetic and how they made it like a period piece, and I think that's actually really interesting. It just wasn't for me, but like for like you, I think Final Destination Bloodlines is like the best in the franchise, and I'm very excited to see what those two directors like do next. And I hope that they do another Final Destination movie, because it seems like, based on how that movie ends, that they want to continue doing these for a really long time.
well, I already pitch you my idea for the seventh movie.
I think you did on your podcast, but if you want to state it
So,
here.
and look, the Final Destination team can use this. I don't care.
Mhm.
Like I really don't care.
They should go to space. I'm
No.
just kidding.
Although that would be interesting. Just do Apollo 13, but Final Destination.
Actually do that. But start with your pitch.
So my pitch is we open the movie with the end of 6, where like they have a premonition, where somebody has a premonition of like what's going to happen at the end, and instead
Mhm.
of our two main characters that die at the end of Final Destination 6,
Mhm.
they survive the train attack, and also they save like their dad and the brother's date and a bunch of other people that are like there at the end of Final Destination 6. And now all those people are fucked. And now the dad's included into it too, because he was probably going to die, in that somehow in that train, thing. And so now you have this idea of, the last movie was the mom dealing, reconciling with mother, and now this movie you reconcile with your father. Even you reconcile with your father figure.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like that's what I would do. And also it'd just be kind of a fun twist to be like continue the storyline of one of these movies. Just be like, hey, someone got another premonition, and now the characters from the last movie survived whatever was supposed to be the ending of the last movie.
Right.
And I understand like people would be I could see people being a little frustrated that it would be a cheat, but it kind of fits into the Final Destination world of just like people getting premonitions all the time, and now they can, pull people out of death.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just feel like that would be kind of like that would be my idea, especially since people really like this cast.
Mhm.
Like it'd be kind of just crazy just to be like, and here's a new group of Canadian actors.
Exactly.
So, even though in this movie you can you introduce more young Canadian actors. Like I always keep saying, because Gabriel LaBelle's Canadian, get Gabriel LaBelle into a Final Destination movie, the
I'm
Sammy
down.
Fableman.
Yeah. I'm down. Get me in a Final Destination movie. I want to die horribly. Like in
Marley, don't say that.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
You want
No,
to
but
act in
since
it.
we're on Final
You want to be in a
Destination,
movie where you act like you're gonna die.
yeah, exactly. Which kind of leads into my question I was going to ask you next is,
Okay.
what's your favorite Final Destination death in all? Like, I know you've only seen like a few, but in the movies that you've seen.
I really love all the car stuff in the beginning of 2.
Mhm.
Like all of that stuff is so good.
Mhm.
And um but I mean the elevator in 2, where the woman's just trapped,
Mhm.
and first of all, like that's a horrifying thing to be like, you've made it okay in your mind to be okay with death taking you, but then when death is finally on you and it's your turn and the thing is happening Like, that's terrifying to be just slowly, in your mind, like, just having to let it happen. I do like the death scenes in Final Destination Bloodlines, especially the one where it's like, oh, we realize his brother doesn't have to die, but he still dies anyway because he's like he's trying to intervene. So,
Mm-hmm. I think I want to say the tanning bed from 3 or the roller coaster is one of my favorite death scenes in the franchise, but not to play recency bias, but I love spoilers for Bloodlines, but I love the what's that machine called?
the
The MRI
MRI.
machine. The MRI machine where they just get sucked into it and just get folded in. Such a like I highly recommend you follow like the directors. I'll link like their pages on Instagram, like in the description box down below. But they showed like a behind the scenes of that, and the practical effect on how they got that was brutal. And then the garbage truck scene as well. The garbage truck death of seeing like someone's head just being crushed. Super funny. And the way
Yeah.
they shot that too was pretty funny. I just love how they just went with practical effects for like all these death scenes in the new Final Destination movie. But
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on because it was like all franchises, Mission Impossible and Final Destination. But is there anything else you want to mention for May?
I rewatched Sinners. We talked about friendship on my podcast.
Was I on that
Um,
one?
yeah, because we talked about friendship, Bring Her Back, and Final Destination Bloodlines in one
Oh yeah,
episode.
that's right.
That's where we did like our May catch up episode.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Bad Boys 2 and 35 at the Plaza. You know,
Yes.
although I had a funny incident where we lost a reel. Like we skipped a
Oh Jesus.
reel like towards the end of the movie. So we went from like so we missed the part where, where there's an iconic scene where Martin Lawrence is like, shit just got real.
Mm-hmm.
We lost that whole part.
Oh Jesus.
And like projectionist like didn't realize like it had skipped like he had put on the wrong reel for that track. So he gave us all a bunch of passes because we got to finish because we saw the rest of the movie and got done with it like within 2 hours. Like it was like 2 hours and 6 minutes, and if anyone knows, that movie's like almost 2.5 hours. So yeah, it was something else.
Yeah.
Um
I like Bad Boys too. That
yeah,
movie, but it's solid. I would love to see it on 35 millimeter, but not to have that. But that's also like the joy of seeing something on 35 millimeter because you do get mistakes like that, and you don't. Kids these days hate to be like that old man on the internet. Like they won't understand how that feeling is like when something would skip over. They like because most of these theaters are just playing like a digital profile, a digital like
a
file or
DCP.
yeah. But yeah.
And one more thing, I did watch Hurry Up Tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
the weekend movie with Jenny Ortega, Barry Keoghan, directed by Trey Edward Schultz.
I forgot that movie came out this year.
I have it listed on here as 3.5 stars.
Oh man, I think you were trying to convince me to watch that one.
I think it's a good movie. Like, I think it's just a very, like, bizarre movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, again, like, I really do think people should watch it, but I do think it's very different from what's being promoted. And I think it's actually kind of, unless you've seen The Idol or, like, seen any, like, Weeknd music video where The Weeknd just loves violence,
Mm-hmm.
you probably, I don't know, like, the ending is very like much in line of like what The Weeknd does for like his music videos. Like he's a very, very much a dude really loves his violence. Is sadomasochism.
Right.
Other things, and that was the last one of the last movies I watched for May, and then
Mm-hmm.
we moved to June. That's where I watched The Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, I saw Friendship, and we talked about it on your podcast. I think it's still up there with one of my favorite movies of the year. I have it at 4.5 stars. Might actually rewatch it. It will be a five-star movie. I saw Fight or Flight. I don't think you saw this movie.
This is a Josh Hartnett movie, right?
Yeah, the Josh Hartnett plane movie.
No, I did not, which is unfortunate because we're like in the middle of like the Hartnett sauce.
Yeah, I was kind of because like obviously people know that I'm doing an M Night Shyamalan retrospective series, and I love Trap. Obviously, not as much as one of our other mutual friends, Peyton, but I was kind of riding that high off of Trap, going into Fight or Flight, and I walked away kind of disappointed. It kind of felt like a John Wick light movie, and whether you want something like experience like that, like that's up to you. But it just wasn't for me. I walked away kind of underwhelmed, and I thought Josh Hartnett kind of phoned it in a little bit, but I don't know. It's an okay film. So
So that's how I felt. How I felt with another movie that came out in August, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
yeah, I think I know which film you're talking about. But yeah, and then I also watched The Karate Kid for the first time because I was hyped up for Karate Kid Legends because
Oh
for people that listen to
God.
that episode, I was like, "Oh, let's go! Karate Kid Legends, the fifth highest grossing movie of the summer." And I've never seen the Karate Kid before, and I really like the first Karate Kid. I know that's not an unpopular opinion, and I was actually kind of surprised how much I liked it. But yeah, Karate Kid movie is actually surprisingly good.
I never saw any of them, including the new one, Legends, or whatever it's called. Well, one, so our friend of the show, Kyle Arking, saw it and gave a really scathing review. The more he told me about it, the more I was like, yeah, I'm actually okay with not seeing it, and I'm actually okay with maybe the certain director that was gonna do the Lost Boys remake, maybe not be able, maybe that project still stall. I know
Yeah,
that's bad. That's poor. That's poor. Again, I do support filmmakers, but but I don't. But there's a part of me that will always be like, hey, I don't want to see a bad idea.
yeah, I'm with you on that one. I still haven't seen Karate Kid Legends yet. I know as probably the biggest supporter on the summer movie
You were
wager,
so hot. You were so on that wavelength and wanting to support it, and then
and then it
crickets.
crashed and burned sadly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I will probably still see it eventually. Is it on Disney Plus right now, or
No,
is it on
no, it wouldn't
Peacock?
be because it was Sony.
Oh yeah, that's right. Probably on Netflix or something. Usually Sony movies make it to Netflix, but the original Karate Kid's actually really good, and I think more people should watch it and shouldn't put it off like I did for so many years. And then, did I mention I saw Tropic Thunder? I rewatched it in
No,
May.
you didn't. But what'd you think?
Still holds up. Still funny. I think they should bring. Well, we'll get into it when we get later into probably in part two. They should bring comedies back, like actual comedies, and put them in theaters. But we'll talk about that when we cross that bridge. And then, like you said, I saw we talked about Bring Her Back on your podcast. That was the last movie that I saw in May. Bring Her Back, and by the Philippa brothers. Is that how you say their last name?
The Philippa. I don't know.
Philippa. Philippa.
I don't
That
know.
movie's traumatic. I haven't even thought about it since I left theaters, is because I don't want to think about it, but still solid. I just want them to do something happy
I don't
after.
know. It's weird you say that, but to me, I feel like Bring Her Back is more hopeful and than their last movie. Like it has a more
Yeah,
hopeful bend.
well, I don't know. I don't think it's saying much, but
I mean, it's weird. Like I do feel like the better trauma based horror movie is 28 Years Later,
mhm.
like a movie about like in enduring trauma. Like that to me is the like to me I've really I will bat for 28 Years Later and not to skip ahead. Like there's still a lot of movies to talk about, but
Yeah,
but I do really like that movie. Anyway, so did you see Ballerina?
No, I never saw it.
Okay, I
Even
gave
though
it
I
three and a
had
half stars.
plenty of. You saw this in June, so we're in June now.
We are in June.
Okay.
Did you see Phoenician Scheme?
Yes, I did see Phoenician Scheme. June is actually I saw it on June 7th.
June 3rd, I
Yeah.
think, for me.
Phoenician Scheme, another movie I haven't really thought about since since then. I think it's a little bit better than Asteroid City, but it's definitely Wes. I don't know. Wes Anderson's he's like a fine wine. Only certain people enjoy watching and talking about his movies, and I enjoy it every now and then, but not every day.
I'll say this. uh, Wes Anderson kind of spaces out his work enough to where by the time I get ready for the next one, like it's an easy like 3.5 stars. Even if I'm not like I don't get what the story is, like it's still like an easy 3 to 3.5 stars because the filmmaking is so impeccable
Mm-hmm.
that like you can't like it's hard for me to watch a Wes Anderson movie and just not go, even if I'm not like really into the story, it's hard for me to not go, no, there's some really good like, physical comedy, there's some really good like well staged gags, there's some really good, like there's really very always incredible production design. Like I'm not even talking about like the framing of like how everything's perfect. I'm just like it like the production design just looks so immaculate and beautiful. Excuse me, as I lost my voice there. It just looks so beautiful and immaculate and like always colorful. Like there's never like it's just not dull. Like it's not, and it always feels like we're in a different world. Like we're not in the world of our own.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like I don't know, I kind of admire that there's a filmmaker that's still getting to be able to do that. And there's like a whole slew of actors that are still willing to be in there. So, but yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of agree. Like Phoenician Scheme is nothing special, but I mean, I kind of did, but I mean, I kind of enjoy the ride. You know, it's kind of like if you go to your favorite ice cream shop and they build a new flavor.
Yeah. And
You
that new
know,
flavor is Michael Cera being completely unhinged in the Phoenician Scheme.
yeah, or yeah,
I
or
loved his character in that movie.
I love, yeah, no, Michael Cera should have a renaissance.
He should. Well, no, he should be in more Wes Anderson movies, just because I feel like his kind of like shtick is kind of perfect for Wes Anderson. But he can also play off of it as well, and he does it really well in the Phoenician Scheme. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
So did you see How to Train Your Dragon remake?
yes, but kind of mentioned two movies that I saw at the beginning of June that I don't think you saw because they're very bizarre.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw this movie before, but this is a Tubi watch. Maybe I should do like another segment like in the future on this podcast called To Be Tuesday. But this would
Okay.
be the first to be segment. I saw Super Size Me 2, Holy Chicken.
Oh God, they made a sequel to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I've seen this movie before and I never logged it on Letterboxd. But I thought I watched it for the first time. And it's honestly an interesting, rest in peace, Morgan Spurlock. Like, I think he died like a year ago or years ago or something like that. But I think this might actually be one of his more interesting documentaries because it kind of, when you hear the thing Super Size Me 2, you're like, oh, he's gonna eat McDonald's again for like all this entire
For
time. But
2 years.
yeah, for 2 years, and I'm like, this is not healthy. But he actually takes the opposite approach and makes his own restaurant, and it names it Holy Chicken, and it's all like what he points out, like after Super Size Me, restaurant like fast food restaurants changed like their like look and their marketing style, and they're like, oh yeah, we're all healthy, we're farm raised, and his restaurant Holy Chicken basically turned into like that and making fun of like those restaurants. by like, oh, free range chicken and all this stuff. And supposedly it was an actual real restaurant. It was like a pop up that like in Texas, which I don't know. It's an interesting documentary. I don't think it was necessary, but it was kind of a fun watch on Tubi. But have you heard of this?
I've heard of Super Size Me, but not. But and I think I've heard there was a sequel, but I've never seen any of them.
Yeah. I gave it 4 stars. It's on Tubi. Came out in 2017.
Okay.
It's interesting. But yeah. Support Tubi. It's a free streaming service.
Yes.
And then I saw Mountainhead. This is the new
Oh
uh
God.
this is what's the
Jesse Armstrong.
Jesse Armstrong like movie about 4 billionaires trapped in a penthouse. I hated this movie. I think it's the worst movie of the year, to be honest.
Well, did you hear how they made it?
Well, yeah, they made it like super quick because I'm pulling it up.
Well, they were trying to meet like the Emmy guidelines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were trying. That's why it comes out on May 31st because. So they started filming like around January or February of this year
Mm-hmm.
and wrapped around March, and then the movie finished like a day or two before May 31st.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was an insane like turnaround schedule.
It's because Jesse Armstrong wanted he's. I think you said this on one of your podcasts that like it was too good to like pass up. Like he wanted to be topical.
I don't know if I said that, but I'll take it. So,
Okay.
but that is, but I mean, that's kind of how the vibe is like, you know, when you, and this was a movie I didn't see, but I will say, like, from the looks of it, from everything I've heard about it, I'm like, this just sounded like a really good way to try to be a part of the conversation and try to move filmmaking in a way to where it can be on that like South Park level
Mm-hmm.
of where it's just very reactionary. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem is when you do it that way, you are only being able to you only have the ability to react
Mm-hmm.
and not process. And I feel like that's why a lot of movies, and that's why a lot of movies that are really good, like, to talk about these things later on, like they have like the hindsight of 2020. They have the hindsight of being like having some time away from a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So uh so that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about the whole like Mountainhead situation. So but again, I did not see it. So
It's not good, and you probably shouldn't see it. Like
that's
I
fine.
haven't seen Succession, and I hear everyone tells me whenever I say I haven't seen Succession, they're like, get on it, like watch it right now. And I'm like, I don't really want to put myself through that. And I find movies like that or shows like that to be kind of boring in a way. I
Well,
don't really care about rich white people all that much, but
my thing about Succession is it really is a great, you know, as someone who's only kind of seen like different episodes of it, like at random places,
mm-hmm.
it's one of those where it's like, no, I get it. Like, I understand these people. I understand like the morality of the show. I understand and I think for me, it's like watching a train wreck. It's like watching a train wreck just kind of keep unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, you know, again, and I feel like, I don't know, like James Cromwell kind of had the best like character because he was the one that was just like, no, you know, Brian Cox's character, he's just a fucking horror and he's just gonna die in hell for all of his whoring. And I feel like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much like the take. That's all. That's really, you could just end the show because that's really what all this is just, you know, there's just so much whoring going on,
right.
and that, you know, it's just it's unfathomable. Anyway, so you did not see How to Train Your Dragon the remake?
I did. I rewatched the original How to Train Your Dragon in anticipation for the new remake,
Solid
and
movie.
I love the first one, and I still love it to this day. And I'm like, I feel like I did a disservice for myself by rewatching that and then watching the remake because I'm like, going back, not to be a broken record, but like what you said, what I said about Lilo and Stitch and these live action remakes, it's just a soulless like adaptation of like, and How to Train Your Dragon feels like it's the worst like offender, just because it really felt like a high school play for me. With like high school like costumes and everything like that. I do love, the one thing I do love about the remake of How to Train Your Dragon is that it's the same director from the that directed the animated version. He's making the live action. Usually, rarely, actually never happens. So good on him for taking the bullet, I guess, or taking the fire from the fire breathing dragon. But I still found it very lackluster. And I'm like, the entire time I was just like, I don't know how you felt, but I was like, why are we doing this?
I gave this 2
Like,
stars.
oh, you gave it 2 stars?
Yeah, I don't, and I probably was a little too high. No, here's the thing, because I watched this at an early screening because I was like, because this was like one of the weekends where in June where it's like there was like 3 or 4 different movies opening.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had Life of Chuck, opening wide, Materialist opening that same weekend, and of course this movie. My problem with How to Train Your Dragon, the remake, is I could instantly find it in the first 10 minutes, and it's like, none of this is exciting. Like this village is being burned by dragons, and it's supposed to be either like dramatic and fun at the same time, and it's neither. Like it's very
Mm-hmm.
slow. Like there's a whole sequence where like there's like a machination, and we kind of see like this Rube Goldberg thing, and it just goes slowly and slowly while like destruction is supposedly happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of like, oh no, Du Bois has no idea how to shoot an action sequence. Maybe he could for animation, like do this like do some really cool like the camera zooming in and flying in, but because he's shooting all this on a soundstage, he can't just like rig up a drone to just like shoot some cool dragon POV or
Mm-hmm.
cool like the camera going in and out of buildings. Like he can't really do it because he's in a soundstage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, oh no. And it's just me and the whole everything about it. I was just so bored. Every bit of it. I was so bored. Because it also, what's worse is it's the same story, almost verbatim. And I already know how this ends. And also like and because it's the same story, it feels so like How to Train Your Dragon kind of felt so like it felt like something like kids could feel seen, especially queer kids,
Mm-hmm.
because they deal with the outsiderness of it. They deal with like Hiccup wanting peace and all that. And so watching this movie in 2025, it just feels so like 20 years too late to have this. Like, who is this for?
Well, it's for new generation of kids, but my arg there's so many kids. I saw a bunch of kids that saw this movie and they were having like a great time. Like especially the kids that were sitting right behind me in the theater, and I'm here just crossing my arms. I've basically become the boomer. And it's just like, oh, they're just remaking movies these days from my childhood. But the kids are having the time of their lives. But like my argument there is like this movie is available in streaming. Like the original movie is available and it's still solid. Just re-release this movie in theaters and DreamWorks would probably make way more money. Well, I shouldn't say that because this is How to Train Your Dragon remake was like the fourth highest grossing movie of the summer. But I feel like if you were to re-release the original in theaters, you would probably make that or more. But
And not have to spend the money of making a $200 million movie.
exactly. But who knows? I'm not a studio executive. Maybe they know something that I don't.
Yeah, and to be honest, like it was all like, and it just feels cynical because the new Universal Epic Adventure in Orlando, they have a whole section themed to the How to Train Your Dragon world,
Mhm.
and of course it feels cynical in that like, oh, they made a movie just so they could sell the new theme park.
Something
So
that Disney does all the time.
I know, but it doesn't make it any less cynical.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I think I was a little bit nicer about this than you were. I gave it 3 stars, but I feel like if I would probably rate it worse than that. But
Yeah, I think I'm giving it half stars. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, and you mentioned it's a high school play. Everyone looks like they're in like their mid-20s except Mason Thames. Mason Thames looks so like he looks like, and he's like, and also everybody's costume looks so awful on them. Like,
Well, when I say high school play, that's what I meant, like the costumes. It just felt like they went to Goodwill or something like that and picked up like stuff that looked like Vikings. And Mason Thames had played Hiccup, right?
yeah,
He was way too hunky for
I don't
Hiccup.
think he was hunky enough.
I thought
Or I don't
imagined
think
Hiccup was always kind of like that scrawny Viking, and I never really got that from Mason Thames' performance. But
I don't. I mean, you're right, but but the problem is everyone looks like they're in their mid to late 20s,
hmm
playing, high school age kids
hmm
learning how to dragon fight, and Mason Thames looks like an actual high schooler. But compared to everyone, he looks like he's like 10 years old.
yeah,
So it looks completely awkward. And then on top of that, like everyone has like those hug boots, like those very puffy boots that look really good in animation. Like they really work fine, but in live action, it makes everything look terrible.
yeah,
And they look like they're like shooting this in the summer, so it doesn't make sense why they would need all of that clothing. They need like, layers upon layers of like wool fur coats fighting dragons.
yeah. It's bizarre. It's
I know
bizarre
I'm
for sure.
nitpicking. Look, yeah, and look, I know it's a nitpick, but I'm just like, you have to make your world make sense.
Yep, exactly. But I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Okay.
I won't spend too much time on this because I got a full episode coming for this movie. But I saw 12 Angry Men for the first time. Stay tuned for the Letterboxd Top 250 series where I talk about that movie with Vikash from the Cinema Pursuit podcast, also on the Summer Movie Wager as well. And I won't say where he placed for the results. You'll have to listen to the results episode for that. But yeah, real quick thoughts. I think it's incredible. It's one of my favorite movies ever. So yeah.
So let me ask this. Have you seen I'm gonna just rapid fire because we are like an hour in and we haven't
Yeah,
even gotten to July. Um, have you seen Materialist?
yes. I think we talked about it.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, on your podcast. I think
Oh
so.
God, I don't remember.
I
I
don't
know
remember
David
either.
was on it. I think David was on. Well, anyway,
I don't.
so we talked about it already. Good movie. I thought
Yeah,
Materialist was good. I mean, it's not like, the tearjerker that was, oh gosh,
past
what's the
lives.
Past Lives. It's not like that movie, but it's like a fun movie, and then it brings the essay. Okay, trigger warning. It brings the essay, subplot into the movie that kind of almost derails it, but I think Celine Song does a good enough job, bringing us back to, finding a middle ground of where we're still like having fun, but also like there's still stakes.
hmm
There's a downfall to like Dakota Johnson's character in her ideology. So yeah, no, good movie. Life of Chuck.
Yeah, Life of Chuck. It's definitely going to be probably in my top 10 this year. And I think Materialists will be as well. I really, just real quick thoughts on Materialists. I really enjoyed kind of like its commentary on dating and more exclusively online dating and just like how we kind of like treat people nowadays. Celine Song's comments a little bit after the movie that she had on a podcast. We could talk about this after, but I thought it was a little bit skewed, a little like people kind of took her a little bit out of context, but she kind of did that to herself a little bit. But I think Materialist is great. I feel like the theme of the summer, especially when this movie came out, everyone's like, Pedro Pascal's in everything. And I'm like, who cares? He's good at everything. So I'm like, put him in everything if he's good in everything. So I really enjoyed this. I thought Chris Evans did a really good job of kind of, even though he kind of plays the very cliche, like, oh, he doesn't have a lot of money for Hollywood. This is what Hollywood sees poor people as. And I thought that his character was a little bit cliche, but I think he did a great job portraying that role. And I love we talked about Madam Web on your podcast. I love me some shoot.
Dakota
What's her name?
Johnson.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson. I still have yet to see the movie that's out now. Is it still out now?
It might have already moved out because it was a neon little indie movie that came and went.
What's that movie called though?
Splitsville.
Yeah, Splitsville. I still want to see that one. I hear it's one of the funnier movies of the year.
I think it's funnier than another movie that people thought was funnier. That was funny, excuse me.
Okay. But yeah, Materialist is great. And then Life of Chuck might actually be in my top 5 of the year. And it's my
really
first
solid movie.
It's my first shoot. I'm really drawing a blank for names. Mike Flanagan. My first Mike Flanagan film. I haven't seen any of his films up until now.
He's a really good filmmaker. Like, I know there's a cloud that hangs over some of the work a little bit, especially like, the Ouija prequel, but I don't know, like he's just been a real, I really like all the stuff he's done as a filmmaker. And even like his television work. So I've only seen The Haunting of Hill House in terms of like his TV work. I know people like leave me alone about that one show that he's got that I'm blanking on the name, but I like Mike Flanagan, and I am a little bit like wondering why he's doing. I'm very curious about his Carrie, because that's the one thing of the Stephen King adaptations he could do. That's the one where I'm like, that doesn't make really a lot of sense for him to do. Because I feel like other people would do a better job with it. But then again, but you know what? Mike Flanagan hasn't really given me a reason to doubt him yet. So I'm excited for what he does for the Carrie show. Just really interested. Anyway.
And he's also doing that DC movie.
He wrote the DC movie.
I thought he's directing. Is he directing?
No, it's the director of Speak No Evil.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that's a good pairing, to be honest. I'm excited for that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's coming out next year, so Clayface, yeah.
Yeah, Clayface. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm intrigued. I kind of wish he was directing that instead of the Carrie series, because I actually would be curious. Nothing against James Watkins, but I'm actually curious to see what like a Mike Flanagan like superhero or supervillain in this case movie would look like. So it would be a more curious thing. So, but we'll see. I mean,
But one more thing about Life of Chuck. I know we're going pretty long because we have another part on your podcast.
Oh, geez.
I don't want to, but I just love Life of Chuck just because, especially when I saw it, it's a movie that I feel like I needed most, and the world needed as well. It's really just a movie just about like kind of like appreciating the little things and the little things in life, and seeing that portrayed in a movie was really touching to me, and I don't know, I appreciate it so much. And very interesting ending. Not sure if I fully understand it. I don't want to spoil it here because I want people to see it. But yeah, I love Life of Chuck. 5 stars for sure.
I love it too. I think I have an understanding of the ending, and to me, the ending is my favorite scene in the movie. And it kind of reminds me of a song from Florence and the Machines. I'll share it with you later, but like there's just a really good moment of just like, I just really love the ending. I think it's a solid movie. It's also got good use of Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
He's not in it that much, but they got him actually for a good bit. So, no, it's a good movie. I really like it. I don't know if it'll be on my top 10 because there's like a mountain of movies that are about to come out in the next 3 months.
There's so many movies coming out for October through December.
Where did all this money come from to make all these movies?
Where's all this time going to come from? That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, who's
We're gonna end up doing another one of these 2-part podcasts.
for just just October. Look at the
Yeah.
slate for October. I
Oh
think
my
there's a
god.
whole page just for October 3rd.
Ridiculous.
So yeah. Anyway,
Um.
oh good.
Well, I saw Elio on June 19th, and we did a podcast on that one.
I saw that on the 23rd. And I still really like that movie. Like I genuinely like I understand, like I get it. Like there probably was a much better movie that was being made over at Pixar before it was taken over by Donnie Shi. And there's no, and I have no ill. This is not the Donnie Shi hate podcast. This is not. Keyword was
No,
not.
it definitely is not.
But I do feel like the movie they made is still really good, even though I wish they would have kept, if there really was meant to be like a queer subtext to Elio, I
Mhm.
wish they would have kept or had it more, but we'll
Just compromise by a little mouse or a big
oh
mouse.
boy, you cannot. Well,
They can't have this queer subtext in this movie.
no, I will not allow it.
Uh,
Even though I have this voice, I will not allow it.
yeah.
So
No, but
yeah.
it's still solid. It's still a really wonderful movie about friendship, too, and the friends that we make along the way and grow apart. And I love the animation as well. I love that. I need Pixar to do more space movies. I know it's become like a trend amongst especially on social media, of franchises going to space, but I feel like Pixar would thrive if they just made more out of these world movies. Um
Well,
because I think
unfortunately,
no, go ahead.
that won't happen.
Yeah, because Elio bombed big time,
Yeah. I mean, look,
sadly.
and what was crazy about Elio is I kind of loved how creative it was, in terms of like designs and whatnot. Like it kind of felt like a Rick and Morty episode.
Mhm.
But no, I really liked Elio. Were you gonna say anything else?
No, I think Elio is really great. It's very unfortunate that more people are probably going to watch this movie on Disney Plus. Probably not the case anymore because people are boycotting, but I think Disney really did a lot of disservice to Pixar by putting a lot of their movies on Disney Plus and during the pandemic, and then basically, oh, this is Pixar's Disney Plus company, and no one really wants to see their movies in theaters anymore, even though Turning Red was really great and should have been in theaters. Elio is great and it was in theaters, but no one saw it. Hopefully they release it again and more people see it in theaters because I think it's incredible.
Maybe when
Very
people
weird, like references to adult sci-fi films. Like there's an alien reference in there. There's a reference to the Thing in Elio that is very disturbing, like very odd body horror in a Pixar movie for kids.
yeah.
But yeah,
Maybe when
uh,
people like when Elio goes on Tubi, like people who have been boycotting Disney Plus will finally watch it.
yeah, yes. Or did know what Disney could do? They could just not hike the price like 4 times a month, and cancel people that deserve to have deserve to have a show and exercise their freedom of speech.
Or not cancel show. Well, on top of all those things you mentioned, not cancel shows that are actually good, or that. What am I saying? Don't cancel shows that people act that only like a minority of a fan base hate just because it was deemed too woke.
Acolyte. I have not seen, but yet, but
Yeah, I'm also part of the problem, but I will
yeah,
say, like, but I will also, I will definitely say, like, given like the data I've seen of the Acolyte, I'm like, this could have been a second season. You could have had a second season, even if it had to be like a wrap up season, like Andor season 2 was.
mm.
Like, you could have done like one more of these just to kind of like tie up the storylines, a
Or
little
release a
bit.
movie, a Disney
Yeah,
Plus movie. But
or
me
fuck it,
not
release in
seeing
theaters.
Me not seeing The Acolyte has nothing to do with everyone involved. It's more of I am tired of Star Wars and I don't want to watch any more Star
Oh yeah,
Wars.
oh yes, I want to make that very clear too. Like,
Yeah.
I very much am on Marley's side where I'm like, I don't care. It's very hard to care about Star Wars stuff because it's not only overexploited, but it's very like there's just not like there like it's just very hard to care about this thing when it has not been that, when most of it's not that great, and the stuff that is great has to come like somehow survive in the ocean of bad.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, so moving forward, I saw F1 after Elio.
This was the final movie that I saw in June.
Okay. I really like F1. I'm sad I couldn't do any of the IMAX, or I saw the movie once in IMAX and I wish I could have done a few more rewatches, either
Mm-hmm.
in IMAX or regular. I just didn't have time. Like, there's just so many, when you have so many movies coming out, like, in 2 months and you have so much to do, like, it's hard to rewatch. It's hard to cram in another F1
Right.
but I did really enjoy this movie. I don't know if I can say it's the movie of the summer just because I have a couple others that I feel like are just slightly better. But this was a good movie. What'd you think?
I thought F1 was fine. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. I had a really great experience watching this movie on IMAX, one of the bigger IMAX screens in the country. Joseph Kosinski knows how to make a summer blockbuster, especially after Top Gun and now F1 and Oblivion too. Everyone forgets about Oblivion. That movie rocks my socks off, and so does F1. Registered trade. What?
Tron Legacy. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. I need to rewatch that movie before Tron Ares because I
Go to the
remember not
IMAX
liking
double
Tron
feature.
Legacy all that much. I don't really remember liking Tron Legacy all that much. But
I think it's gotten better with age just because it's one of the like earlier prototypes of like the Legacy sequel.
mhm.
I mean, I get it, Tron Legacy, like a sequel, but
Yeah, yeah.
but it is like one of the earlier prototypes, and it is one of those where it's like they really are trying. But I feel like Joseph Kosinski could have made. I think Joseph Kosinski directs the hell out of it, but I feel like now that he's kind of figured out the Lego sequel and kind of figured out like what works and what doesn't, I feel like he could nail. This is why it's so disappointing he's not coming back for a Tron sequel, because I feel like he could really nail what didn't work for Legacy, and really kind of.
And he wouldn't have cast Jared Leto. That's another reason why I'm not all that excited for Tron Ares because I don't want. He's Jared Leto is a main feature in that movie. I don't understand how he keeps getting work.
I'm surprised they went forward,
Yeah.
with because of everything that's come out, like everything that keeps like. Because never mind, we'll get to Tron
Yeah.
Ares in a couple weeks.
Yeah, when we do it, hopefully we'll have to do another one of these two-parter episodes.
Jesus.
But yeah, F1 was fine. I thought the soundtrack was really great. I think that I was listening to the soundtrack on repeat after that. Well, Hans Zimmer really went hard, and he didn't really have to.
Sorry.
Copyright.
Well, I didn't think for more than 30 seconds we're good.
Brad Pitt kind of still shows that he's a movie star and can kind of bring people into the movie. And I love Damson Idris as well. I think he was incredible in it. I feel like the reason why it's only 3 stars for me is I thought the story wasn't really all there. I thought the story was more interesting in like a Top Gun Maverick for like a sequel. But I'm happy that Apple actually has a successful movie, like a movie that
Finally.
made over 100 million, and they they followed that up with the lowest grossing movie of the summer with highest to low, which we'll get into later. But yeah, uh, since we finished June, this is the part of the show we kind of tell the listeners to head to your podcast, right?
Let me just wrap up real quick.
Okay.
So Other movies I kind of saw at the end of June. So I watched the 4K version of Sean Baker's Prince of Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Solid early work, even though it kind of feels. My problem with Sean Baker is like he's trying too hard to kind of be in that like kind of John Waters camp of like I'm gonna make a very provocative movie, in a movie where like everyone's just an awful human being or
Mm-hmm.
a good person just stuck in a really awful situation, and I'm just gonna like watch them like misery porn themselves into. Like that's what I kind of feel about like Sean Baker a little bit, like because he really does like kind of almost like lamently like likes these people to suffer, and so that's kind of how I felt about Prince of Broadway. But I still gave it 3.5 stars. This was when I started to watch, 28, like I tried to watch the 28 Days Later movies. I only got to the first movie. I have not seen 28 Weeks Later. And also on June 27th was when I started my Superman rewatch with Superman Returns, giving a 2.5 stars.
I think that was kind of generous for Superman.
Yeah. I also caught the Brokeback Mountain re-release right at the end.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Was it Regal that did that?
It was it was a combination of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think you had better shot at AMC, or at least in my area, to see it because
Mm-hmm.
AMC kind of had it more. Um, and that's where I saw it, was AMC Colonial in
I missed
Lawrenceville.
my opportunity to see that on the big screen. I'm very sad.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
It's very sad.
Ang Lee's best. Ang Lee's best.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That goes to Incredible Hulk.
Not wait, that's Louis Leterrier. Not
No, that you don't remember the Hulk?
well, he did a Hulk movie, but it's not called The Incredible Hulk.
Oh yeah, it's just Hulk.
I mean,
Isn't
I
it?
know I'm getting into semantics here, but still.
Yeah, for the listeners that want to continue our last 72 watched just recap of the last 4 months when we were offline, head on over to the Youth Critic Podcast. Subscribe, follow Kale on Twitter for information on that. Yeah, for part 2, where we're going to be talking about all the movies that we saw in July, August, and September.
And this is also where we're going to do a catch-up episode for the Youth Critic, as of like from highest to lowest to current. Although we do have so for the Youth Critic Podcast, first of all, let me say you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Movie Kale. This is where you can get all the information on my shows. And after this episode, we will do a one battle after another episode, and that will sort of be and then we'll kind of go back to regular programming. We kind of had to take a break just because, like I said, I'm busy, tired, everyone's kind of busy.
We're all busy screaming into our phones.
Well,
exhausted, hoarse.
Well, and on top of that, I'm also like returning for From the Top to finish the Peter Jackson saga, so we can finish season 4 and move on to season 5, which will follow soon after. So and we'll announce all that, in the From the Top back half of the Peter Jackson saga. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and really, I should be thanking Marley, because this is your idea. This is your idea to do a catch-up episode, and I am very honored you asked me to do this. And now moving on to my show for part 2.
You're like the more important show. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. Seriously, if you want to hear us talk about all the movies that we watched in July through September, go to the Youth Critic Podcast. The link will be in the description box down below. My name's been Marley Silverbrand, your host for the Real Livers Podcast. More episodes will be coming out very, very soon. Like I mentioned, with Mulholland Drive featuring Peyton, 12 Angry Men featuring Vikash from the Cinema Pursuit podcast, and we're still doing the M. Night Shyamalan Retrospective series. So many episodes to come on the Real Livers Podcast feed. But like I said, I've been Marley, and we'll see you on the Youth Critic Podcast for part 2. See ya.